morning.
Hello.
Are you going to introduce us to our new producer?
This is Savannah. She's our technical producer and editor
And consultant.
and consultant. She tells me a lot of jokes. You know a good joke? Now's your chance.
I want. I don't know if this is a joke, but
Okay, try it out.
I have 11 fingers. 1, 2, skip these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Are you a member of Mensa?
Do you know what Mensa is?
No.
It's okay. No, neither do I. All right. Well, she's going to go behind the scenes and make sure that we have another great show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for your help. All right.
You
See
did
you
good.
later.
You did good. You're going to be famous now.
Great job.
All right, you got to. All right, now
We've got to talk to these kids about Mensa.
well, we need to talk to you about Mensa.
Is it Mensa?
Mensa.
It's an acronym.
Mensa. I call it Mensa.
Is it it's an acronym for?
It's a hologram.
It's not. I know that.
Did you? So you didn't watch the famous town halls last week?
Oh yeah, he asked me. No, I didn't. But I told you I had a good reason why.
And I want to
didn't.
hear it. I want to hear it.
So my reasoning was mainly because I knew what to expect. I knew.
Well, that's true.
I knew that, and I didn't even know who the people asking the questions were.
Oh.
But I knew that one side was going to get softballs,
Yeah.
and the other side was going to be met with pretty aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I did. I watched the highlights on ESPN.
That's good.
I mean,
That's
on
good. That's good. You know, I have
the other
ESPN.
channels.
I have ESPN.
Do you?
I do.
That means you can talk to people.
I talk to dead people.
without talking to them.
Dead people talk to me.
But I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
It was terrible. I watched it because even though I, like you, I
Yeah.
knew what the outcome was going to be, and before turning the television on, the reality was it met my expectations.
Lowered expectations.
I had low expectations, and it met
And it
them.
met them.
Actually, it exceeded my low expectations in how bad it was. George Stephanopoulos, who I cannot understand how people believe this guy is fair, was the moderator, if you want to call it that, for the Biden town hall.
Okay.
And he go ahead.
Yeah, no, he's
He was
He
a
was
Bill
softball.
Clinton.
He was the softball
Oh,
thrower.
was he softball?
Yeah.
The questions like,
how you feeling?
Mr. Vice President,
You're looking good.
you know, the current administration is allowing
Yeah.
California to burn to the ground because of climate change and the fact that they won't even have climate change. Could you tell us what you had for breakfast this morning?
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
We grew up. Did you grow up around in this area? Well, so
I grew up in Baton Rouge.
I grew up in an area where we had a lot of they would farm pine trees.
Oh,
Lots
paper
of
products and
yeah. They had paper mills, and you could always tell when you got close. So some people say it would smell horrible, but the people that I knew that worked there said it smelled like money. But
so the different smells.
So driving through, you would always, I would see what they call control burns all
Okay.
the time.
Alrighty.
And I mean, growing up, I kind of knew that you have to do that for an area that's got a lot of flammable, and there's not really anything more flammable that I know of than pine straw,
And pine straw.
except for. Okay, so you know a little quick tip: if you're camping, you should bring a Ziploc bag full of
Pine straw.
no, dryer lint.
Dryer lint.
That's one of the most flammable things that I know of.
And so you're camping and you want the dryer lint to start fires?
To start fires. Yeah.
Your
that's-
campfire,
Yeah.
not a fire that burns the forest down.
Unless you're in California,
Okay, well,
which don't do that.
Shh.
Don't start a campfire in a place where they don't have good
Well, they don't have dryer lint.
forest conservation.
Well, like California, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know because I'm not. I don't. I have no idea, but I know that where where I grew up, I remember seeing those. 'Cause I remember asking, the side of the highway's on fire. I'm like, what's that? And then they said, well, it's a control burn, because anything that falls, you just have to like, you can't do it at a really dry time of year. There's certain times that you have to do it, but it's called a control burn.
And I guess you don't have this mass quantity of stuff on the ground. It's already been burned the previous year or the year
Right.
or the year after.
So
before
it
that.
can't easily catch on fire because it's burnt, because it's
It's already
and
been
it
previously
doesn't
burned.
and it doesn't affect the taller trees, or the things that some things fall off. So it's a conservation thing, and
Well, you think they would make that part of the Green New Deal?
probably is.
Well,
It says Green New Deal. Probably is. It might be in there.
No, because I'm sure if
I didn't read that either. I'm sorry.
I would imagine in the Green New Deal, you'd be penalized for actually having a controlled fire, because you're creating carbon dioxide and smoke and all that stuff and particulate matter that goes in the air. So they'd be against it.
So when I was a kid, there was a big thing about planting trees, because they were killing the rainforest. So we had to plant trees, and we had an Arbor Day. You remember
Yep,
that?
yeah,
So,
Arbor Day, yeah.
We'd go plant trees, and also as a young child, I remember learning that we get oxygen from the trees, but we have to do that through what's the photosynthesis?
Photosynthesis. Oh man, you are really. Do you know how
7th grade science.
just over the matter of the past 5 weeks,
I've gotten to where I can't.
your
say it.
vocabulation has really improved,
I got-
amazingly so.
Well, my kids are getting older, so they're teaching me things.
Well, they're watching our show. And talking about this, did you see that we actually had a comment? We
Thank you for the comment.
Thank you for the comment very much.
Comments are needed.
And it was positive.
You can't-
It was positive, and I did not pay them. I did not
You
pay
can't-
them.
You didn't.
No,
That's
I,
good.
no.
Are we supposed to send him a free T-shirt? Because
Well, that's it. I haven't told him about the free T-shirt with the power pits. And that it's a used shirt.
but lightly.
But once we get going, there's no telling what we may have in our attic.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good. That's a good place to look. You keep T-shirts in your attic. Okay.
Well, I have
so
them
the
wrapped
com-
around. I have them wrapped around some of the vents of the air
com-
conditioner.
Oh yeah, the comments are good, because that's one of the things why and it was completely on the fly that we put open conversation, because it really is some things that we don't agree on. Because there's got to be some things that we don't agree on.
Who, you and me?
Yeah.
I would have to. Yes, I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
You haven't admitted it yet. That's the problem.
I don't
Being
like-
independent, you'd like to kind of go both ways.
I don't like conflict.
You're,
So,
see,
you like conflict.
I like
you like to
I like conflict.
you like to put a helmet on and go hurt
I
someone.
want to go hurt something. That's just the way it is. It's like you boldly go where no one's gone before.
Yeah, but it
And-
doesn't always have to include conflict.
No, it doesn't, but it adds a little spice to life to make sure the heart beats and you get the flow through the bloodstream.
Yeah.
And it clears out the arteries.
Yeah, I'm joking about that.
No,
I'm sure we can conflict.
Well, maybe we should have a planning session to discuss things that you and I could possibly disagree about. What do you disagree on? Let's see. All right. I know you don't disagree on this. The Green New Deal. We talked about the Green New Deal last week.
Yes.
And the Biden-Sanders unity communist unification plan.
Well, I don't think they said communist. They said
Okay, I
it's
may
a
have added
unity task force.
I may have added the communist part.
Recommendations.
But it's in
Right.
it's in fine print.
But see,
in the 126-page document, it's fine print communist.
Yeah, I went and looked it up, and I saw the. That's how I know the title of it.
Oh, so it's a unity plan.
It's a unity task force recommendations.
See-
and I might be getting that wrong.
All that is fancy English for Biden-Sanders communist takeover plan.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, they talk about the Green New Deal. And they try to underestimate the Green New Deal. It's only going to cost a few $1 trillion. The reality
Still a
is,
lot of money.
it's a lot of money. And
I got $7 in my wallet.
but we can increase your visa limit. So, so there is extra money.
Oh, credit.
The credit, which is where they're going with the Green New Deal, because if it cost $100 trillion to do the Green New Deal, which I've heard and read some experts saying if we did the Green New Deal, it would cost $100 trillion. The United States brings in about $3.5 trillion a year in tax revenue.
Okay.
$3.5 trillion. So if you go into debt $100 trillion,
That math doesn't work.
it doesn't work because the interest
It
on
doesn't
$100 trillion worth of expenses, and you're bringing in $3.5–4 trillion a year. That's not going to work.
You know,
you-
I've got some real life. I can.
Oh, bring it
parallel
about.
this.
Oh, ooh,
Yeah,
bring
I
it.
got a credit card when I was 18 years old. I think it was for a free T-shirt. So free T-shirts will get you every time.
Well, I see what baits you.
That's why I'm giving away free T-shirts. So I got a Visa. Might have been a MasterCard. I don't know. Anyway, I get that, and I was just I didn't use it wisely at all, and I got myself into a lot of debt. And then I missed a payment, and so then the interest rate jumped up to 32%, something like that. And so then my minimum payment, I would pay that. So I didn't reach negative interest. What do you call it? Whenever I make a payment and then my balance would go up instead of going down at all, because I wasn't even able to pay
The interest.
the smallest amount. You know, they were like, it was a bad situation. So where I had to cancel it, obviously, and then just try to get onto a plan where I could pay him back what I could pay him back. And I think it took 8 years, maybe.
8 years.
I think so.
Wow.
I mean, it took about.
You must have really charged a hunk on that card.
Well, that's the problem. It really wasn't that much money, but I didn't make a lot.
You weren't making a
I
lot
didn't
of
make
money.
a lot of money, but I got my mom gave me a book, and this is a plug for Dave Ramsey. It's called Financial Peace.
I've heard of that.
And anyway, I read that book, and what stuck out was the wants and needs, and just how to, you know, it wasn't really a book of finances, although it is a book of finances, but it's more of, you know, learning how to live.
I have a story that's just like that, but different.
Well, that was the thing, like you can't pay off $100 trillion, but yeah, go ahead.
$100 trillion, not in,
We'll never
certainly
pay
not
it
in,
off.
not in my lifetime.
It's going to
And-
take longer than 10 years.
And our producer's lifetime, and her children's lifetime, and their
Grandkids.
children's lifetime, and it's ridiculous. And but
Is this the idea of like, well, you'll always have a car payment?
you'll always have a car payment.
Always gonna pay taxes.
And see, they make you feel comfortable with that, and say, "Oh yeah, you're right. I do always have a car payment." And I don't.
I don't either.
I don't.
I don't have a nice car either.
Well,
You do.
well,
But
it's-
my car gets me places.
your truck.
We're not going to agree on that.
Your truck is part of our Green New Deal and our mobile studio. So it
Yeah.
actually is it's okay vehicle.
Well, it's comfortable inside.
It's comfortable inside, and
It's nothing to look at.
And it's great sound effects. It's quiet, so we can do our mobile show, and I think
never
people
know.
appreciate a mobile show. I had a similar credit learning experience
Oh, yeah.
myself. My mother, I had just graduated from high school, and I received a call from this company, this store. It was a beautiful store back in the day. It was called D.H. Homes, and they were in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and this area of Louisiana. It was a local department store, and was well respected, great reputation. I hate the fact it's not here anymore. But they called me up right after I had graduated from high school, and they said that they wanted to send me a credit card. And I said, well, I don't I don't even have a job. And they said, oh no, we just want to give you the opportunity to learn how to deal with credit and that. And I said, well, okay, I'll feel that. So they sent me a credit card.
They were concerned about you.
They
wanted to make
How they heard of my name, I don't know. And so I told
Just
mom
wanted
and
to get
dad.
you some experience.
They wanted to give me some
and
experience.
somebody some money.
Oh, I got some experience out of it. So mom says, oh, it's all right, Kip. Just go to the store. You can buy some things. And then when you come back at the end of the month, you'll send them $10. And
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay. So for the next few months, I did go out and buy things. And for the next
Yeah.
few months, I did send them $10, which was not the minimum payment.
Oh.
And apparently, after so many months of sending $10, which I did religiously based on what my mother had just told me a month before,
Yeah.
I learned from the people at DH Homes that the minimum payment on the invoice meant the minimum payment, not what my mother told me.
Ah.
So I had to fix that real. I fixed that real quick.
Yeah.
And so don't let your mama. Like my mama said, the Waterboy movie.
Oh.
Mama said. No, it doesn't work that way.
Such a good movie. That might be something we disagree on. It's no Grammy. I don't know. Did it win some or Grammy something that?
No, good Graham's music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The soundtrack was pretty good.
You know, I've only watched the movie once, and I don't recall the soundtrack, but
I don't either.
I'm sure it was delicious.
I'm gonna go look that up. We
I'm-
might watch that this weekend.
I'm worried
Is
about
there
that
anything
now.
going on this weekend? No.
Well, they have.
Is there another debate coming?
There's the debate coming Thursday, and then they also, I believe, vote on. Oh, how do you like them voting? The questions that the Democrats asked Amy Coney Barrett last week during the hearings for the Supreme Court justice. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I didn't really watch a lot of that. I watched a couple of times where they were asking her questions, but it didn't really seem like they were asking her.
It was. They realized that they couldn't attack. At least this is my take on it.
Yeah.
They couldn't attack her like they had attacked Judge Kavanaugh in the previous. Our producer's telling us something.
I know. Is there something? Remember, I did hear that her family was in there for the whole time.
The family was in there for a good portion of the
I
time.
never saw her daughter doing this
That-
while they were asking her questions.
that-
All right. Please go produce.
make sure the dials are turned on.
Yeah. Go. You turn the dials.
But they would ask questions. They tried to corner her by asking specific questions that they thought in their minds were simply yes and no answers. And by answering yes or by answering no, then they would be able to go in there for the kill. Well, she never fell for that bait. She always answered the question based on logic, intelligence, and legal arguments, and they had no leg to stand
Yeah.
on. And so they vote on her this. Oh, wait, another thing about it. She clerked in her early days of law with Judge Anthony Scalia, and Anthony Scalia was pretty conservative Supreme Court justice. Well, they couldn't get her on any of her past rulings or writings or speeches and things that would determine how she would vote in the Supreme Court. They were constantly saying that, well, because you clerked for Anthony Scalia, all of your decisions are going to be Anthony Scalia type decisions, and I thought that was pretty unfair. Which goes back to the things I told you weeks ago: is why are conservative judges or conservative anybody considered incapable of being fair? And Justice Barrett, or Judge Barrett, was the epitome of poise and class and intelligence. If every one of the Supreme Court justices were as smart as she was, oh gosh, our world would be so much better.
Yeah.
She was an extremely intelligent woman.
She seemed like she answered everything that that she could. There was a lot of things she would say she couldn't answer because I would ruin the words if I tried to say her answer because she's obviously a judge and I'm not.
Yeah,
she seemed like she handled herself and nothing really got her rattled. And I think they didn't attack her like people were expecting. And I think they knew that would paint them in such a bad light if they tried to attack her personally. I had heard someone talking about the Clarence Thomas stuff going on and just how poorly.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden was involved in chairing the committee.
What I heard was Clarence Thomas's comments I believe to the Senate and I believe directly to Joe Biden after the whole thing had processed, and he was pretty upset about the way that he was treated, and he really.
It was bad.
It was really bad. But anyway, so they didn't attack her for her faith. That I saw, or that the ESPN didn't show any highlights of that.
They didn't attack her. They didn't attack her on her faith, but they tried to corner her on her faith, and hoping that she could use or say something that would be Christian oriented or Catholic oriented that would obviously preclude her from being acceptable as a judge, and she never fell for that, and I was quite proud of that, and it was good.
You know, it's funny you were talking about how they were trying to paint her in the same mindset of Scalia, right? And just saying that, just because you clerked with him, they were using the thing that my mom used to use when I was a kid.
Oh,
it was like, if you play with poop, you get dirty, which. Has the opposite of meaning.
Which is, you're right. But if you're talking about Democrats,
if you're riding around with some friends that aren't doing anything good, chances are you're probably not doing anything good with them. And so, their view of Scalia is that
their view of us is poop.
He wasn't doing anything good.
Well, so we need to wipe them out.
The poop of
no, the Democrats.
No, they need to be a little more honest. I think there needs to be a little more honesty.
Well,
maybe because I don't believe every Democrat's a bad person, or or even it's hard to know if the people that are on in the Senate together, because they seem to be best friends. If they're not grandstanding in front of the camera on both sides, like it seems like, what's the guy's name from Louisiana?
Kennedy,
not is that him?
Kennedy and
I can't remember everybody's name.
The doctor.
Oh, not Cassidy.
Yeah, Dr. Cassidy.
No, it must be Kennedy. Kennedy's got the one. It's like he's been working on his accent forever.
Yeah. Oh, he's a very good actor.
He is, and he draws it out. I did see his questioning, and I enjoyed. I mean, and he's obviously.
You ought to try that with your clients.
Talking
like that, and just
drawing everything out.
You could probably raise your rates.
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think for accent. I don't know. Maybe so. I did have a friend say, you should talk in a strange accent and just stop halfway through the service and say, I can't handle this anymore.
Do you have medical care from your company or from your wife's?
From my wife's.
Okay. I'm worried about Joe Biden. Should he please not become president? He talks about wanting to expand Obamacare.
Mm-hmm.
And that is scary in the sense that we're trying. He's basically talking about socializing medicine, which would be more in tune with what Canada does, or Great Britain, or a lot of the nations over in Europe.
People say they love it.
2 or 3 of them do.
Yeah, well,
those are the ones that survive because they didn't have to wait 8 years to have surgery or to see a doctor.
And that's the key. They don't live to tell.
They don't.
How bad it was.
That's the problem with these socialized countries is all the people that could really complain They died. And the ones that are in queue are too
Yeah.
sick to speak.
Well, and they don't get, yeah, because I know that that's what I've heard. You go to the doctor and you go and you have no copay and you're, I don't know, it's just, you don't have that small well, it's
okay,
not small.
all
I
right.
mean, copays, I guess, can be a lot, or deductibles can be a lot. And that's the thing that I think people that don't know, because there was a time where I went, probably the time that I was racking up credit card debt, where I had no idea how insurance worked. And that if I got sick, I knew to go to the emergency room. Because, I mean, that's where I was going to go.
Okay.
And that's not saying that's the right thing to
That
do.
causes a problem. That's a problem with the healthcare.
Well, it's part of the problem. Now I'm trying to be part of the solution.
Well,
But I was young and I didn't go to the emergency room because I didn't get sick that often. So like younger people,
that's the good thing about being young.
sometimes, yeah. And then, but then there's some people who are born with illnesses and things that through no fault of their own, now they've got to deal with this thing their whole life. And this is gonna go down a road that I don't know if we have time for.
Well, yeah, we just probably hit the road in a little bit. But I thought about this in the last couple of weeks. I've been thinking about the problems in healthcare that we have in our country. 180 million people have private health insurance.
Okay.
There's, I should say maybe families, but so a lot of people in the country have the old-fashioned health insurance program.
Okay.
Then there's Medicare
Mm-hmm.
and Medicaid, and then there's this small portion that are in Obamacare. Medicare has grown tremendously because the population has aged.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance companies control when you go to the doctor and if you do a copay
Mm-hmm.
or after the service you either get a bill or you don't get a bill, and it's going to be really reduced fee. Doctors and the healthcare profession, and if there's any doctors out there that if I'm wrong with this, please tell me because I want to correct myself, but doctors are one of the few entities in our country that have no control over what they charge or receive in payment for their services. Because everything is determined by the health insurance companies, the government,
Mm-hmm.
and if you get to a point where you need to obviously increase your expenses your income because expenses have increased or it costs more to get your products, you can pass that along to your customer. Companies lawyers can increase their hourly rate. Accountants can increase their hourly rate. Every company out there has an opportunity to increase their rate. But a physician or a doctor in our world today can only really get away with charging what the insurance will pay or what Medicare, the government's going to pay. They could charge more,
Mm-hmm.
but then that's going to all fall upon the patient to pay. And that puts, I think, a doctor and the medical profession in a real, I think that puts them in a hole, and I don't think it's fair. And healthcare in the United States there's no place in the world I'd rather get sick than be in the United States. I want U.S. doctors taking care of me. I don't want some socialized a physician from some third world nation that's coming in because he can do all the other doctors in the United States have retired because they don't want to be exposed, and they're paid minimally, even though everyone else probably thinks it's a lot, but they're paid small amounts compared to what their services are, and then they get exposed to people who say, well, you didn't cure me, so I'm going to sue you, or you hurt me, I'm going to sue you. So there's all sorts of ramifications for being a doctor.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
What's not fair?
being a doctor and having the world, the government after you.
Yeah. Well, being anybody and having the government after you is not a good thing.
That's
But
true.
I mean, I don't know.
And we'll talk about that. The Second Amendment. Do you have weapons?
I'm not going to admit that on here.
That's a good idea. I don't have any weapons either.
Oh.
But if I did, if I had weapons, it would be because the Second Amendment allowed me to have weapons
Well-
and not weapons so that I have the ability to go hunt. The Second Amendment was not created for us to be able to go hunt.
Right. It wasn't. No.
And Joe wants to take your weapons away.
Well, it seems like anybody that wants the government to be, it's such a, I don't even know where to go with this because it's such a, that's so much to unpack. That the Second Amendment.
Well, we got to be careful about it though, because if Joe Biden wants to pack the Supreme Court, because if he gets elected, and then the Senate becomes controlled by the Democrats, then there is going to be a lot of work on the Second Amendment that's going to be done.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. This whole idea of the United States could go away fairly easily.
In about 6 weeks.
If you don't, I mean, if you don't have people, and it seems like there's people that are very afraid that there's people that are just willing to rip this apart.
Have you heard about Joe Biden's son Hunter and what he's been doing with China and the Ukraine and Russia? And have you seen the pictures?
Follow the money. Pictures.
Yeah, they're on his laptop that they've now gotten into. They had a bunch of pictures in there, a bunch of pornography, a number of photographs of him looking like he's in a coma with a crack pipe in his mouth, laying in bed, got a shirt off and looking pretty bad. And Twitter and Facebook and maybe even Google have prevented that type of information from getting out. But you know, they didn't prevent any information getting out under when they were trying to get Trump on the Russian scam, and the Russian scam was false. They're saying that this thing on Hunter is false, so they don't want to put the information out there. Oh, so you put it out for fake news on Trump, but you consider this fake news and you're not going to put it out. That's not right.
It doesn't seem like that's right.
That's not right.
It doesn't seem like, and it's messed up that he's got all that stuff, and it's crazy if it's his private laptop, and then you see all the stuff that's not related to his dad. Like he might, and he's probably sounds pretty. If he's posting pictures, well, he's not posting them. If he had pictures of him like in that position, he's not okay. But that reminds me of this movie.
Oh, okay.
I think it was
Hit me with the movie and then we'll say bye-bye.
It was Black Sheep with Chris Farley
I've
and David Spade.
I've not seen it.
Oh, it's a good one. It's so Chris Farley's brother was running for office, and Chris Farley
Are
was
the people really going to like this?
probably not,
Oh.
but you can just go watch the trailer. You don't have to watch the whole movie. But so his brother was running for office, and he was just trying to keep the press away from his younger brother because his brother would like mess up everything. And he goes to this Rock the Vote thing, and he hooks up with these musicians, and he smokes.
Well, it sounds like Hunter Biden.
That's what I was thinking.
It sounds
I was
like Hunter
man,
Biden.
It seems like Joe Biden's got his press group going like, just keep Hunter at home. And he hired this guy to go, David Spade, which is really funny. He hired him to just keep him out of the public eye, and they go on this road trip. And he ends up like, it's a silly.
Well, all right.
It's a silly way to.
I'm going to digress.
It's
Bring this back to our conversation. In Joe Biden last week, I saw a YouTube video. I wasn't searching for it. You know when you just pull up YouTube and
got
all sorts of suggestions in there.
I know why, because of the Netflix thing I watched
And-
on Social Dilemma. It knows what you would want to watch.
What I wanna watch?
So it like hands you a little piece of cake and says, "You're gonna like this."
Well, do you know last night, when I pulled up YouTube, the very first vignette or screen they had up there was the Kip and Russ show? I thought that was pretty impressive. But anyway, it had one of these, it had Joe Biden sitting in a studio. And so I clicked it just to see what is going on. And Joe Biden is being interviewed by a news person.
Mm-hmm.
And off to his left is the news reporters in front sitting, and this right to his left is this big monitor. And the angle that we were watching was the reporter asking a question and Joe Biden answering the question, but he's reading off of the monitor.
Oh,
Yeah, and they even show the close-up of the monitor so you can see what the words are.
our
And,
show would be so much better if I had a monitor.
and you know what is so interesting? That's not
As long
true.
as
You
it was-
do well.
As long as it was going really slow.
We'll have a slower monitor, but
I will speak with a southern accent.
well, there you go, John Kennedy. But what was interesting is that it got to a point where something was going on and he couldn't read the monitor, so he said, "Could you move the monitor up closer to me?"
Oh wow! But he,
What an idiot!
yeah.
And now he wants to be the president. And Pelosi making a big stink last week about the 25th Amendment and how they need to get that enacted and really rolling.
they're setting that up so if Biden wins.
So
they're
if
gonna
Biden
take-
wins,
they're going to take it.
they don't want him to be president. They want Kamala to be
It's
president.
not about Trump.
They realize that I saw someone sent me a photograph that said Joe Biden, and at the bottom it had president, but someone had knocked out the P, so it said Joe Biden for resident, and it had him sitting in a wheelchair in an old folks home, and I thought that was appropriate. Joe Biden for resident.
That's pretty clever.
I guess we better go.
You know, I heard this song that said.
Is this from a movie?
No, it was a song. It's a song about a guy talking to his son, and one of the lines was, "Don't worry about losing your accent. A Southern man tells better jokes." It's a good song. Anyway,
Where'd you hear that?
it's a song called the Outfit.
And what was it in your mind that made you automatically think of that song?
Right
Just
now?
Yeah.
John Kennedy. Southern man tells better jokes. That's why he
I've been
does
talking about the 25th Amendment, and in your mind, you're thinking John Kennedy.
I keep. It sounded like he was eating peach cobbler while he was talking, saying to Coney Biggs.
John, we love you.
I
You
do.
represent us.
I like it.
And
I've
you're a
heard
good
you-
treasurer. You were good with the finances.
I've heard him on shows before. I think he's awesome. I think he's hilarious. I love his accent.
I love the way that he's gotten himself involved in Washington. I also like Dr. Cassidy. I think Dr. Cassidy is
Yeah.
a very erudite senator, which is something those senators need.
What would you just call him?
Erudite. Smart.
Okay.
Smart.
I thought I'd never heard that word. That's right. What yeah. So that's Kennedy seems very
He's
erudite.
Yeah, but-
Did I say it right?
oh, you are. I mean, you know what? You are stepping
Holy
out.
cow.
You are stepping out. If there's any one good thing about the Kip and Rush show is how you are stepping out.
This has helped me be a much more confident orator.
You're well. Oh,
That's not the right word.
it was close. It was close. We probably ought to quit while we're behind.
I know, you're right. So,
Bye, guys.
more comments.
Oh yeah, more comments. Subscribe.
I think you got to hit the little bell button to get notified.
Is that what it
There's
is?
probably something else. They try to keep our show to where it's really hard to find.
Well, yeah. Which is I don't understand that part, because if you watch it just once, you'd realize these guys, they're different.
We're on to something.
Or that we're on something.
We're on to something.
Oh.
Those were bad.
Okay. All right. Bye.